Once upon a time, in the center of a peaceful village, stood a grand, abandoned castle that had remained empty for countless years. Legends whispered that a giant once lived there, though no one in the village had seen him in ages. Still, the villagers respected the castle's quiet, timeless beauty and the enormous garden that surrounded it. Every day, children from the village would sneak into the garden to play, basking in the beauty and safety it offered. One sunny day, as the children frolicked under the trees, they shared the treats the garden gifted them.
Have you tasted these juicy peaches? Or the apples? They're so sweet.
The children laughed and giggled, marveling at a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, chasing each other through the flowers, and making plans to return for strawberries the next day. The garden was a haven of joy, beauty, and laughter, a paradise where the children felt completely free. Then, one quiet afternoon, the castle's owner finally returned. The giant, tall and stern-faced, was pleased to see his garden thriving, thanks to the gentle care of Mother Nature. However, as evening approached, the giant's peace was disturbed by the sound of children laughing and playing outside. Curious, he went to his window and was furious to see so many young ones running around, treating his garden as their own. Enraged, the giant stomped out into the garden, startling the children, who froze in terror. "Get out of here, you little creatures," he bellowed. "You're ruining my lovely garden. This place is mine, not yours. Go away, and don't you ever come back." Panicked, the children scattered, racing home to tell their families about the terrifying giant. Relieved to be alone again, the giant returned to his castle, basking in the quiet that had returned. But the children couldn't stay away forever. After a few days, they snuck back, unable to resist the garden's allure. When the giant discovered them, he chased them away again, growing more and more irritated. Determined to keep them out for good, he decided to build a high wall around his garden, making it impossible for anyone else to enter. Seasons passed, and though the garden remained enclosed, it began to lose its splendor. Winter crept in, and the giant waited for spring, hoping to see his beloved flowers bloom once more. Yet when spring finally arrived, it brought no warmth or color to his garden. The flowers refused to blossom, and no fruit grew on the trees. The birds and butterflies were gone. The garden became barren, cold, and lifeless, just like the heart of its owner. Year after year, the giant watched in despair as neighboring fields bloomed in the spring, while his own garden remained a dry, desolate place. The giant grew lonelier and more frustrated, failing to understand why his once beautiful garden had become so bleak.
Why won't spring come to my garden? Why has Mother Nature abandoned me?
One chilly morning, the giant awoke to hear faint sounds of laughter coming from his garden. Rushing outside, he saw a group of children who had slipped through a gap in the wall. The giant's rage surged as he began to scold them, but something made him pause. Among the children was a tiny boy, struggling to climb a tree. Fearful and trembling, the child looked up at the giant and pleaded, "Please don't hurt me. I won't come back if you don't want me here." The giant felt a strange softness stir within him.
I won't harm you. Go ahead, call your friends. You can all play here.
The children's laughter filled the air, and to the giant's surprise, blossoms began to bloom on the trees, birds returned, and the garden came alive with beauty. From that day forward, the giant welcomed the children, sometimes even joining their games. He finally understood that the true beauty of his garden lay in sharing it. The once selfish giant became a beloved friend of the village, having learned that a garden's joy comes from the warmth it brings to others.